Welcome to part 6 of this project. Here we'll do the exterior, the trim, and the gutters. First, if you have done this with me before, then you can hide the brick face and the vinyl siding, so you can have only these rafters or this drawings we made previously to create the roof line. So what I'm going to do here is I just removed this end from this piece because we don't need to have it that long. And selecting this, you can just delete that. Now, what we want to do is we want to make these, extrude these faces to about 1 inch. So these are the major trim that goes in front of the, underneath the roof, in front and the back of the house. So once we have these at 1 inch thick, now we can add a couple of lines at the end of each one of them, converting to poly. And I am going to attach them so that they all work as one piece. Now, on this one here, you can add a line to the end here using connect. That space doesn't have to be too small either. It can be maybe a couple of inches thick. So you do the same thing on all the ends. And the important thing here is that we're going to connect, or we're going to use bridge on these ends so we can connect them and create our trim alongside. So one polygon to the other one using bridge, you should have something like this. And we do that to all the sides. This one here, you might just want to extrude to about where the other trim is at. Move the trim outside the brick face. And you should do the same thing for all of them. The trim has to be on top of the brick face. Although I'm not doing it here, the lower portion of the back of the building, you can also add a small roof in the back in the same manner. Here you're going to draw a triangle about that far into the building, and we are going to use a line to sweep this shape along the side of the house. I'm going to draw another part of the trim that goes underneath here. This ends at the top of the window height. So these two have to be now swept. Using snaps, make a line about from here to here, and then we can sweep that using the shape of the triangle and the rectangle we made. This way this trim ends up perfectly aligned where we want it. We will borrow this, make a copy, and then we will use a different section, which is this triangle here. And this triangle has to be placed back against the vinyl siding. So these two are the most important ones, and you can make a copy and place them on the other side of the house as well. Now you can take the roof line and extend the roof past at least an inch past the trim. That's what it would look like on render. See, in this case, you can't see the underside of the roof. So you can take the roof and extrude to give a little bit of thickness. And I think 1 inch or half an inch is plenty. Here we're going to draw the gutter. The gutter measures somewhat, 3 by 4, depending on what size of gutter you want to use. So you just draw a profile. May want to close the profile so you don't have a plane, more like a solid piece. We'll borrow a copy of this triangle and we'll change the profile to be used on this one. Just make some adjustments and align it properly, and you have the gutter going to receive the water from the roof. You are going to need also a spout. So from the gutter down, you can draw a line like this. Usually goes against the brick siding or the vinyl siding, and it goes outside on a curve. You can make these smooth curves by editing the nodes with fillet. Then using sweep, use the shape we just made, or you can use an existing one here. You have a box or a bar called bar, and change the size. We have 2.5 by 2, and align it, and you're done. Around the windows, there are also other pieces of trim, like this one called brick mold. And around the vinyl siding, you have corners and edges and channels that keeps the water from going into the inside the house. They go around the windows, the doors, and in the corners. Up on the roof area, you can see them here too, and around the windows. Now, some of these are the same color as the vinyl, and from a distance you won't be able to see them very clearly. So you may not need to draw those channels in some instances, but this is how you would go about it. You trace the outline of the door frame. Once you have that line, you can sweep a U-channel So here's an example. After you align it properly and make sure the size is not too large. Here the width is 4 inches, where I'll make it 1/2 inch, and I'll give it a color so you can see it. So when you render, you should see a small channel that will be perfectly receiving the vinyl siding. Right there, it will be contained right inside the channel. This is a minor, like I said, sometimes you can't see that from a distance, but if you're going to use different colors, like in this case, you may as well do it this way. So you do that around the windows, around the doors, and on the edges. You can draw your own corner, and the same way, sweep the line so that it fits exactly this way. Yeah, and that's what it looks like on the outside. The next video is about the materials and maps we use in this project. Thanks.